Okay, we're going to do an oil change on the new Bobcat, and I thought I would take you along for the trip. We tip our Bobcats up a little bit on the front, and this helps the oil drain out of the oil pan. Now this is a brand new Bobcat. We're doing the 50-hour change. They recommend that just from manufacturing. Any little types of fine pieces of steel, this will kind of flush that all out through the system. So that's why they recommend doing a 50-hour change. Then the next one will be 250. So one thing you want to look for your Bobcat is if it's got this sticker here. It's a T4 type of engine, so you need to make sure you use a T4 oil. If it doesn't have that, just check with your dealership, whether it's a Bobcat, Case, whatever. Make sure that they have, if it's a T4, you get the proper oil, and I'll show you that here in a bit. So yeah, we'll get started and I'll bring you along. This right here, Tier 4 compatible for engine. So like this is Bobcat oil, so but you can use the shell as long as it's got this T4 marking on it, and that's what we've been using on all our equipment.
On the right hand side of the Bobcat, that's held on with two bolts that you undo, and you reach in and you put your drain hose through the trap door so that
you can get to the end of it to dump it into the bucket. What size of nuts are those, Mike?
9/16 hold the trap door on. Where on the S750 that we have, this whole plate here is held on by 3 9/16 bolts. It drops out and a hose comes out the side. This is the same concept, except for this is an S630, so they don't have this bottom plate, which is this and this are bolted together.
So you just got a little trap door.
Yeah.
The hose comes out and then we can start draining it.
There's a tiny trap door. Okay. Right here where my finger is.
Yep, I can see it in the camera. Now you just gotta fish the drain hose down through that opening.
And there's the drain hose.
So you want to make sure after you get that fish that it's sitting level, so you don't have a loop in it.
Okay, there we go. There, we're in, out.
And that hose is sitting flat.
Yeah, it's sitting
So
flat.
the big thing, guys, you want to make sure that hose is sitting flat so you don't get a kink in a high spot, because then you won't drain all the oil properly.
Comes out straight across. There's a bar in here that keeps it flat until you get to the drain plug.
And then you can drop it down into the bucket.
There.
I'll show you that here in a second. So you need a couple of 7/8 wrenches to break this loose, and then the oil will start flowing. And we ran the Bobcat for probably about an hour. I went out across the street and did some friendly neighborhood snow pushing just because I wanted to warm this up. So she's good. Now we'll let this drain, and we'll let this drain until it quits draining. The issue we have is they got this filter right over top of the starter. So what I'm gonna do is let this thing completely drain before we pull that filter off, hoping that we won't get a whole lot of oil over the starter. But we'll throw a rag over that starter and stuff, so if we get a little bit of drippage, we're not too big of a deal. Starting it, what you want to do is turn the machine on, but do not start it, because remember, you got no oil in it. Put your arm down, engage the green button for your hydraulics, and as long as you push on the pedal, it'll lower the machine down without it starting. And that's how you get it to level out now. So, because we had it tipped up so it would drain the oil better, and then you want to lower it down so now you can put oil in and everything's kind of sitting at a flat surface, so it's easier to put the oil in. Now we're pretty much done dripping here. So what we're gonna do is what we normally do is we'll throw about 1 liter of oil in and then just wait for it to kind of flush out clear. So we'll do that here in a second. So what we do here is this is just something we do. You don't have to do this, but we like to pump in about 1 liter. This is something my dad taught me. That should be good, Mike. And then what you'll do is you'll see it come out, and that just kind of gives you, if there's any little bit of black oil on the bottom there, it'll kind of flush it out. So it'll take a few seconds and then it'll start coming out. It'll start coming out here, hopefully in a few seconds. There we go. And that'll actually run and start running clear. As you can see that it's a lot clearer. And that just helps flush a little bit of the last of the black stuff out. Of course, now what we'll do is we'll wait till that stops running again. We'll put the plug back on, and then we're gonna pull the oil filter off. We're gonna grab some rags and just kind of run it over top of the starter. And hopefully there's not a whole lot of oil in that filter. Hopefully it all drained back, but just to be safe, we'll put a rag over the starter because we haven't done this motor yet. So I don't know how the oil is going to come out. Hopefully it doesn't pour all over the starter, but stay tuned and we'll show you that. Okay, normally we'd use a filter wrench, but Mike's so strong he just turns it off with his hands. We're hoping that this is not going to drip a whole lot of oil. Oh, it is, so we tuck the rag in underneath. You might as well spin it off and flip it over as quick as you can so we're not getting a whole lot of oil on the starter. So yeah, definitely get a rag below there. And then grab the rag so we're not soaking through and getting all over the starter. Because it just makes a heck of a mess if we don't. So something we do with our filters is we like to date the day that we change the oil and what hours we changed it at. And sometimes we'll put down below here the next oil change. So like the next one for this would be 300. But the computer will also tell you on the screen. And if you watch one of my other videos, I'll have a link on this video for that one on how to reset the hour meter on the Bobcat. And one thing you want to do is grab some fresh oil and put on the seal and the threads before putting it in. And you just do this, it just helps with the threads and stuff. So you kind of just take your finger, like Mike's showing you here. And we also just take some and rub it all over the threads or whatever. It just makes it a little easier going on. Now on some of the Bobcats, if the filter's up under right, we'll actually put some oil in the filter, but with this one sticking up, if you did that, it would just dump all over the place. So the other thing you want to do is you want to just hand tighten this. You don't want to wrench it, so you just want to grab a rag or something and just tighten it as much as you can with your hand, and that's all you need to do. And something else we're going to do with this filter compared to the other one is actually I'm going to date the end here, because now that it's on the side it's hard to read. So we'll come back and we'll mark it on top of the filter here so it's easier for us to read. You'll see Mike's just going to hand tighten it here. That's good. So what we'll do is we'll write on the top of this filter because it's way easier to see. Okay, so as you can see here, we just redid the date on the top there. So we did the date that we changed it, and then the next time it should be changed is at the 300-hour mark. Right now the Bobcat's sitting at 50.2 hours or something. So another 250 hours and we'll do the next oil change. So Mike's just tightening up the oil plug before we start putting oil in. We're not going to put the cap on until we're completely done, just because I want to make sure there's no leaks coming out of that, the filter and stuff, after we put the oil in and we run it. And then after we run it and everything's good, then we'll tuck that hose back up, and then we'll tuck everything away and put that plate back on. This way it's just, you're double check everything. There's nothing worse than tucking that away, putting your plate on. You don't see that it's seeping a little. Next thing you know, you got a pool of oil under your Bobcat and you ran out of oil and everything's seized. Okay, so now we're just dumping oil in. Nothing too exciting. I'll bring you back when we're checking it. Okay, now it's gonna get loud here. Mike's gonna fire it up. We're just gonna check for leaks and just let it run for a few seconds. Okay. So we got no oil leaks, and the filter should be full. Okay, so the idea of starting it, letting it run for a few minutes is it'll fill up the oil filter, and you can also kind of check for leaks, make sure there's nothing leaking. We'll do a visual inspection. I don't see anything on the oil filter is good. The hose is good, nothing coming off of it, it's dry. So we're good to check it. So you want to wait probably a minute, because now that the oil engine started, it'll throw all over that dipstick. So you can wipe the dipstick a couple of times and then check it again, and then maybe you just have to top it up a little. So Mike's going to put it back in. We'll take a look here.
Just reading.
Yeah, it's right there. Isn't it? You see it's right there.
So I'll go take that 9 liters.
Thanks guys for coming and checking out this video. This was an S630. Make sure you check your oil requirements on any Bobcat that you do. This video is just a help to video. I'm not responsible if you guys put too much oil in or not enough oil in your Bobcat, or a skid steer loader. It doesn't have to be Bobcat, it could be Case, John Deere. But this was an oil change on an S630 2016 model. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video.